The heavy bowgun is a heavy-hitting ranged weapon, and like all ranged weapons, it requires a bit of knowledge of the inner workings of the game to really understand what you're supposed to do. Personally, it took me a long time to wrap my head around ranged weapons, because I could never be too sure I was using it properly. Since you move so much slower with this weapon, you'll also need to be very wary of timing and positioning. Anyone can pick up and use the bowguns, but to really excel, you need to know the weak spots of the monsters as well as what element they're weak to. Then you can pick the right gun and bullet for the job. Being a ranged weapon, you don't need to worry about sharpness. Unlike the bow, you will have to load your shots before and after firing them. Also, unlike bow, there are reload speeds and recoil to consider. Depending on your bowgun and the bullet you're using, your shots can have a faster or slower recovery after firing, and the reload may be quicker or take longer. Fortunately, you won't need to charge your shots like you do with the bow, which makes the bowguns less dependent on stamina usage. Taking shots is a simple matter of pointing and shooting, whenever you want to. If you want to unload your gun, you can do it instantly, but loading it requires an animation. Unlike bows, you always want your gun to be loaded, otherwise it can't be fired. You can check your ammo and still have your gun be loaded if you land on whatever you had loaded originally. Heavy bowgun is a very slow weapon compared to light bowgun, though shots will be more powerful, and you also get a stationary firing mode called siege mode, which allows for some crazy damage per second. Think of this as a greatsword, and the light bowgun is a sword and shield. Bow is maybe somewhere in the middle, like a longsword. When supported properly, heavy bowguns can output a crazy amount of damage. Back in Monster Hunter 1, they even mention how a heavy bowgun is best used when you have the support of a team. This makes them incredibly powerful in multiplayer, and if you use things like traps and flash bombs to impair the monster, you'll be able to continually fire on monsters and overwhelm them. You can still use it fine in single player, but you should keep this in mind, as well as the idea that all monsters will have better or worse weapons against them. Bringing along feline comrades will help quite a bit, as when the monster is focused on something else, you'll have more of an opening to fire without being interrupted. Fortunately for the bowguns, the only thing you need to consider for your damage is what bullet you're using, how far away you are, and where you're hitting the monster. There are no charge levels or coding bonuses. The main complexity with bowguns lies in the recoil and reload system, which I'll touch on briefly later. And of course, since you are using a gunner weapon, you'll be using gunner armor, which has more elemental defense, but less physical defense than Blademaster armor. This means you'll be taking more damage in general, so you'll have to be more careful. The heavy bowgun may not be the best weapon to start the game with. It's easy to get lost in all the numbers and information, not to mention just how heavy the thing is, but once you get over that initial hurdle, it's not too bad either. I recommend that you stick with it if you like how it looks or feels to use. That being said, I also encourage you to experiment. If heavy bowgun is slowing things down too much, pick a different weapon. There are 12 weapon classes to choose from, 9 melee and 3 ranged. Try them all. If you want to be a good gunner, you'll need to do a bit of research to find the right gun, the right bullet, the right armor. It's more satisfying that way, to some people at least.